Great. So, thanks everyone for being here. It's quite an important event. I was talking with a few colleagues because 2 days ago we had a very big conference in Athens for information security, and we were discussing that we're having a lot of conferences, not only in Greece but worldwide, about information security and security in general, but not so many events about privacy. So it's really important to have a chance to discuss privacy issues. Okay, you only have my slides there. Ready to do something? Anyway. Looks good. Great. So I as well am a Twitter user, so I was browsing through my Twitter feed the other day, and I watched a post. It was about Airbnb. A user was complaining that he had to register in Airbnb using his Google account, and Airbnb was asking for access to his metadata from files and documents in the Google Drive, which is really weird. So he asked Airbnb why they're doing this, and they replied that we're asking to see your metadata of your files because we want to make sure that your account is really fresh. So if you're using the account, you have some new files, etc. And you don't see there was a huge fuss around this issue after that. It doesn't fit the slide, but I noticed a post by Troy Hunt. Troy Hunt is a security professional from Australia. He was saying that this is ridiculous, you don't really need access to this. The good thing was that Airbnb promised to research into this and find another way to find out if the account is fresh enough. Anyway, I'm going to talk about application software. I'm going to do it because software is the building block of our society. It's the building block today. It's like the concrete of how we build our world. If you think about it, everything is governed by software nowadays. So the traffic lights on my way here are driven by software. My car is driven by software. This presentation and the whole system here is based on software. So if software works right, we all have a very nice life. If software doesn't work right, we start complaining and we start having issues. Similarly, software is what will protect my personal information and my privacy at the end of the day. So if I want to feel that my personal information is well protected, I need to know that my software is secure enough and that people that have created this software have taken all the appropriate measures to make sure that my data is protected. Now, how many software developers do we have here? How many people that are involved in building software? I guess the majority. The rest of you, except my apologies, I'm going to come a bit technical later on the slides, but I'll try to take it easy. So, last month I read an article in Communications of the ACM. It's a rather scientific magazine, but it was very interesting because it had to do with privacy and medical data. It was a research by a certain researcher who found out that we're accidentally leaking medical data while browsing the web. Why is this happening? It's because of the referrer header. The referrer header is a property of the HTTP protocol, which means that when I'm browsing through a website and I press a link to another website, I carry with me the information about the previous site I was visiting. So the next site, the one I press the link to go to the next site knows where I'm coming from, knows exactly the URL of the previous page it was. So what was happening was that if I visit the next site will know that I'm coming from a medical-oriented website. So if I was searching information about AIDS, for example, and I was into a site that was blah-blah-blah.com/AIDS, the next site will know that I was looking for something related to AIDS. Now, this is a simple scenario. There is a more complicated scenario because nowadays sites are very complex and the information they are presenting are not always posted within the same site. So I have a website, for example, the Innov Athens website, which will also have tiny links to present it in your Facebook account, in your Twitter account, in your Instagram account, in a Google Plus account. So you can press a button and instantly post something to your Google Plus account. Now this button, for example, the image of this button, is not hosted on the same site, it's hosted on Google's site. In order to get this button from that site, you're also transmitting your referrer header. So Google at that time knows that right now you're on a website that has to do, for example, with AIDS or with another medical condition. So while browsing on the internet, you're accidentally leaking information not only about your medical conditions, but also about what you are looking for on the internet. So, yes, I have a corporate background. In fact, I work for the OTE, which is the largest telecommunication organization in Greece, but here I'm not speaking as a corporate, I'm not representing tech. I'm representing OWASP. OWASP is a worldwide organization, a non-profit organization, in fact, an open source community. It stands for Open Web Application Security Project. Our mission is to drive visibility and evolution in the safety and security of the world's software. Our mission is to make world software more secure. And to do that, we are moving around our core values to build documentation, methodologies, tools, and anything we can to educate developers and anyone who is involved in building software applications to make them aware on how to build secure and protect sensitive data. So we are a global community, we have chapters all over the world. I have the privilege of leading the Greek chapter for more than 10 years now. We are also completely open. Everything we make is free and available for everyone to download. We also have conferences every year in many places around the globe. The content of these conferences, both presentations and the videos, are available online for anyone to download. And we have a really strong policy around our integrity and around being completely independent of corporations and organizations. So, lately we have been focusing in OWASP on several privacy-related projects. One of these projects is the OWASP Top 10 Privacy Risks Project. We like to have top 10s. Our most popular project is the OWASP Top 10 for Web Application Security, and this is a top 10 about privacy. So we have 10 significant risks that someone who builds software needs to take into account while building the software in order to make sure that he's not violating privacy policies of the users. We also have a very nice infographic. You can download it on the website. I have the links on the last slide for your information, which shows in a very nice way what are these risks. I'll try not to go very technical, but I want to focus on some specific risks that are really important in my opinion. First of all, the second risk has to do with operator-sided data leakage. In many occasions, we're finding out that personal and private information are leaking, most of the times accidentally, by internal users, by staff, or by people that are not properly educated, they're not properly trained, they are not properly aware of the correct procedures, and they're accidentally leaking sensitive information. Now, this is not only due to educational issues, this is also due to lack of proper processes, lack of proper access management within the organization. This is because of the fact that we like to keep unnecessary copies of personal or sensitive data. As Aral said, why delete them? We can still keep it, and maybe they will come in handy later. But this poses a risk of losing the information. Sometimes this information is used within the company, so we might promise our users not to give the information to anyone else. But since we keep it, they're always vulnerable to leaking, either accidentally or on purpose. And this data also might include location-based information, browser behavior, anything, even device configuration or computer configuration, which might seem insignificant, but if someone correlates it with other personal information, it might be proven very valuable. I think we are all aware of, and we have all seen policies, terms and conditions, really long ones, pages and pages, which we just browse down and press I agree, I accept, and then we move on. Has anyone ever read these terms and conditions? Anyone? Yeah, I would guess so. But you're the exception, you should know that. Most people don't read them, they just browse the web browser down to the end and press I agree. Sometimes you don't even have to browse, you can just press I agree and move on. Now, these are conditions, and the worst case scenario, they're just copy-pasted from another website, so they're probably out of date. they're not accurate, they're incomplete, they're meaningless. And in the best case scenario, they try to take advantage of all the information you will be provided to the website or to the application. In any case, we suggest that anyone who builds software pays a lot of attention in this part and tries to be honest and present policies in terms of conditions that are accurate, that do not involve unnecessary data processing, and that are not too long for users, so that users are able to understand them really easily and really quickly. Sharing data with third parties has to do with the referrer header I was talking about earlier. This is a very common issue. We see it practically in every single website. In my corporate life, 9 to 5, we do a lot of penetration tests. Usually companies that do penetration tests focus on security vulnerabilities. We tend to also describe privacy-related vulnerabilities. For example, when a website either accidentally or to provide a service connection with Facebook or social media leaks user information. We don't have a problem with that. Every website can decide what they want to do. My problem, OWASP's problem, is when they don't let the user know that their information is given to a third party, to another website, to another application. And this third party might be a social media website, another company, subcontractor of the application, maps, Google Maps, for example, or another map service, a video engine like YouTube, or any other website. So what we suggest is that when we have to transfer data to another website, that we explicitly inform the user that his data or her data are transmitted to the other side, and that we also give the user the option not to move on and not to send data to the other website. Okay, they might lose some of the functionality, but they still have an option to opt out from sending data to another website. Now, apart from the OWASP Top 10 for privacy, we have a user privacy protection cheat sheet, which is like a quick guide for developers that they can read through. It's just a couple of pages and see some best practices that they can use every day when they are developing. Now, some of them are really interesting. My favorite has to do with panic modes. Panic modes are a very popular technique in encryption software. TrueCrypt has a panic mode. The idea here is that when someone forces you to enter your password or to log into your user account, you have a special password, a panic password. When you enter this password, you don't log into your proper account. You either log into an empty account, and your information might also automatically get deleted, so that no one might have access to this account. The idea here applies to more oppressive states, where people might force you to log into your account without your will. We can give them a chance. We can give a chance to these people to delete their account or to log into an innocent account or a blank account, so that they don't have to give their personal information to someone they don't really want to. Another idea has to do with remote session invalidation. Again, a tool that comes in handy. I think it's necessary that every online application has a feature like that. A feature where we can see who is logged into our account at a very specific moment, and also have the chance to invalidate his session. So what is really interesting for the user is to be able to see if anyone else is logged in his account, which will mean that probably he has lost his password, or his account has been hijacked, or someone has hacked his account, and be able to invalidate the session immediately by proving he is the real owner of this account. Moving on, a very important issue is also to allow connectivity from anonymous networks like Tor. Again, this might be surprising, but there are specific organizations, specific applications that actually do not allow to view the application or do not allow you to enjoy all the functionality of the application if you are coming through a Tor network. Now, of course I can understand why this happens, but we strongly suggest that everyone allows connectivity through anonymous networks. Another issue has to do with privacy. It has to do with IP addresses. Now, again, this is considered personal information, it's considered sensitive information, and we need to take appropriate measures when building software to prevent leakage to third-party providers of third-party applications to third-party content. I said also before that it's important to allow the user to block giving content to other parties or to other applications. Honesty and transparency finally is a very, very important concept. We have to inform users on how the information is used or how the information might be used. If we're not honest to our users will not be honest with us, and we're probably going to lose them very, very soon. Users should be able, actually it's what the law says, to remove sensitive information whenever they want to from our databases, from our servers. Also, if we try to cultivate this culture of honesty and trust, we ensure that our users trust us and we practically maintain our user base successfully. Another aspect of web applications that is usually a source of sensitive data leakage has to do with logs. Applications and server like to log a lot of things. We as developers or systems analysts or as administrators, we like to keep a lot of logs so that if something goes wrong, either technically or in any way, we have the chance to see what went wrong, to improve or to fix a bug or anything like that. Unfortunately, in many cases, logs also keep sensitive information. Classic example, I tried to make a purchase to an online site. I enter my credit card, the transaction does not go through, so the transaction fails. The user sees that the transaction has failed for some reason, and a log entry is generated at the web server. Now, if not properly configured, this log entry might also contain a credit card number. Of course, this is something that should not happen, and this is why in Novas we have created a logging cheat sheet that helps developers create and also administrators create secure software that logs what we want to log, but not sensitive information. So, we should avoid logging personal or sensitive information. We should choose carefully what we want to log, what attributes of HTTP requests and HTTP responses we want to log, and of course make sure that logs have a lifetime. When we want to dispose logs, these logs are disposed safely. As I said at the beginning, our most popular project is the OWASP Top 10, which includes the top 10 vulnerabilities when building software applications in terms of risk. Now, the OWASP Top 10 has a lot of things to do with privacy, protecting private information, either directly, like the sixth application risk has to do with sensitive data exposure, which explains why this is important and what we need to do in order to protect personal information and sensitive information. But we also have security misconfiguration, which has to do with correctly configuring TLS protocol and HTTPS in order not to leak sensitive information on the network. And of course we have risks like injections, SQL injections, cross-site scripting, which again indirectly might be used to get sensitive information. Another field which we see rising nowadays are mobile applications, very, very popular and gaining more and more popularity day by day. Of course, as it happens with most applications, security comes unfortunately next. This is why we see, again, a lot of privacy issue in mobile applications as well. We have built a mobile top 10, again, for risks that focus on mobile issues. And in that top 10, we see that more than half of the risks are somehow related to privacy and protecting personal information. So in the OWASP Mobile Top 10, we give specific advice on how to treat personal and sensitive information in mobile applications. So, in OWASP, we have created, as you saw, several methodologies, several best practices on what developers need to take into account when they want to build an application that respects sensitive information, respects personal information, and they want to build a culture of trust around it. What we need to do in order to increase this culture of trust is, of course, to raise awareness, to educate not only developers, but also product managers, project managers, anyone who is involved in building software applications. We also need to involve legal people that are involved with data protection, because they are the ones that can translate legal aspects to application software requirements. We need to increase what we do when we design software, when we implement software, and when we test software, not only for security, but also for ensuring users' privacy and protecting private information. And we also need to deploy privacy protection technology. There are several technologies out there, either commercial or open source, that will help you protect sensitive information. The presentation is going to be online soon, so you have all the resources available. As I said, everything is open and free under an open source license, so feel free to browse and download everything I have explained. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kωνσταντίνος. Probably we'll have time again for a couple of questions. So, hey.
Thank you for that talk. I realize that you're representing a security project, not a privacy project, and I know the difference between that, but I think it's important to state it because security gets confused for privacy so many times, and sometimes with a reason. And I think it's really important that we understand that although something is secure, it may not be private for the persons who are using it. To give you a very simple example, the mafia is very secure. The mafia will keep you secure from everyone apart from the mafia, right? In a similar way, Google is probably the most secure web service provider that you can have, or a technology provider today. They have the best people in the world. They're the most secure, but they won't protect you from themselves. So my question is, when you talk about privacy in those top 10, for example, what we're really talking about there, I believe, is pseudo-privacy, in that maybe protection of the privacy of the data once it's been given to a corporate entity. How do we keep it secure inside of there? Not necessarily how do we keep it secure from the corporate entity. So I think we really need to separate security and privacy. What are your thoughts?
Thanks for making this clarification. Absolutely necessary. You know, when we talk about securing sensitive information, we also mean ensuring that they're kept private, and private in the way that you're saying. We are an open source organization. We are open in everything we do. So when we're talking about privacy, we don't care what corporations do. We want to, as I said, create a culture, even around corporations, to make them more aware in terms of privacy. So we are working on that. And the top 10 for privacy has to do only with privacy and not with security. We see security and privacy as two related fields that can work for each other in order to ensure that the end user is, let's say, both secure and the information private. Yeah, sure.
So you here tomorrow for the event?
Yeah.
And utilize on someone. And have also a question on that. So you respect that one problem is non-transparent policies, terms and conditions, etc., etc. Does your class works on a way to somehow codify it or somehow make it more transparent? Because that, in a way, could solve the issue of privacy versus security.
We actually have a legal project. I think this is more of a legal issue, and I'm afraid that we're more technologists rather than legal persons. So we are a volunteer-based organization, by the way. So if someone wants to volunteer and work on that, is more than welcome to get in touch with me or foundation, so we can work on it. We really want to do it.
So, thanks a lot. Now,